Okay, let's call to order the regular meeting of the Wildomar Planning Commission, Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. May I have a roll call?
Vice Chair Golden is absent. Chair King.
Present.
Commissioner Cambero.
Present.
Commissioner Filar.
Present.
Commissioner Hume is absent.
Thank you. All right, next up is a flag salute. I'll get us started. Everybody please stand. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, now's the time for public comment for, this is items not on the agenda.
Chair Thornton. Chair Thornton.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Give me a second to. Okay, well, I'm back again.
Welcome back. Hey, Jared.
I spoke at the last city council meeting regarding the problem I'm having with the use of my vacant lot that is adjacent to my lot that I also own, that I live in the house that's on that lot. And I was asked for my information. Somebody said they were going to help me, but that hasn't materialized as of yet. So I'm here again because Monday I got another citation, another violation, same thing. And I'm hoping I can get this figured out because I've been doing the same thing for the last 24 years and suddenly now it's a problem. I'm going to go bankrupt with citations. The very entity that has given me these citations has, in fact, issued me dog licenses to both properties in the past for my overage of 4 per, okay? The same question arose several years ago, and it was decided that I not only could use the lot, but I could, in fact, have the livestock and the extra dogs, and now suddenly it's a problem. When I spoke at this meeting back when you had the special meeting regarding the use for the animals and such, I predicted that I would get a visit within 2 weeks, and 1 day shy of 2 weeks, I had... Let me find it. I had 3 code enforcement officers and an animal control officer at my house telling me that I couldn't do any of the things I have been doing for the last 24 years. And while I'll admit there is junk in the front yard, my husband is very horrible about piling things up to get rid of them later and then never following through. So I absolutely admit that. We have a dumpster now, and we are working on that. That was the most economical way for us to address the problem. One of the code enforcement officers that was there, I actually had a case with him a few years ago, and all the same things I'm doing now I was doing then, and he never brought any of it up. He talked about the canopies and the hay, where I store my hay, and I told him that's where I keep my hay, and he goes, well, you need a place to keep your hay, so that's okay. Just get rid of the junk in the yard, and I'll close the case. And the case was closed. Now, all of a sudden, the same thing that was not called upon last time is being called upon now. Why was it okay then?
I'm sorry, Ms. Thornton. we do have a time limit for public comment. While we can't comment on the items and engage in discussion, I do appreciate your comments, and I do know that staff will be working
Okay.
to resolve those with you. Thank you.
Here, you have 3 minutes of mine. I'll fill it out. I'm giving her 3 minutes, but she can have 3 additional minutes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry, I got off track. I had this all written out, and I'm feeling a little nervous. So, so with what I've already said, I'm here again tonight to appeal to whomever I can to help me with my situation, so I can continue to do the same thing I've been doing for the past 24 years with my properties. I want to be able to just go home from work and relax without the fear of somebody from the city showing up and giving me yet another citation. And I do want to add about the overage of dogs. The dogs I currently own, most of them are 11 years old and older. One of them being 16, and one of them having cancer. So sadly, my numbers will go down naturally sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Ann Keegans.
Hi, Council. I'm back again also. My question is, because I kind of laid it all out for you in May, I was told that the general plan that was put in December of 2024 that installed the animal setbacks regarding livestock, that you guys had 4 basic take-backs a year to make any corrections. I want to know when that is going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, so we all now are still in code violation regarding the animal setbacks. I want to know when that's going to happen, when one of those 4 take-backs is going to apply to the animal setbacks. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Borden, yes.
Mr. B.
How you doing, Mr. Falar?
Good. How are you?
Gentlemen and Deputy City Clerk, my name is Tony Borgerding. I live off of a street called Loring Road. It is just off of Smith Ranch. It transitions from asphalt to dirt. And so it goes through the little housing track and then goes to dirt. And I don't know the exact number, but maybe 18 to 20 homes on 2.5 acre plus up to 10 acre properties. And my wife Melinda and I, and Stephanie's been there longer than I have. We've been there 10 years. And all of a sudden, it's a freeway going down the dirt road. I don't know the reason why so many cars are going up and down that road. I've heard that maybe someone's running a batting cage camp out of there, so a lot of young kids are coming up and down. And there's only one way in and one way out, and we're the first house on the left after you get into the dirt. So we see every one of those cars flying by, kicking up dust, and they come faster than the 15-minute or 15-mile-per-hour sign. So some things that come to mind. I don't know code violation, if batting cages, I don't really want to mess with the guys living, but some things that come to mind are lay down those tracks that kind of calculate how many cars are going up and down that road on a given day. Because I was out there working on my yard, and I think there was 40 cars came by within an hour. I was flabbergasted. I was like, whoa, what happened to our nice rural road? And so I also understand that La Estrella has been blocked off and has the opportunity to open up and create a circular driveway, so half of the homes are coming to their house through La Estrella versus Loring Road. So if that's an option, that'd be awesome. So posting speed limits, putting up a fake camera, which is very cost effective. I've done it in warehousing for a long time to keep people from stealing. So putting up a fake camera that says speed limit monitored by radar. You know, it doesn't have to be. Make it cheap. Just make the sign. Put it up. Scare those kids that are going to batting that are only. So the thing is, most of them are getting dropped off by their parents. So the parents come in, drop them off, leave, come back in an hour, pick them up. So it's actually getting a 2-for-1 deal on the traffic. So that's kind of my take on what's going on, is that it is a little bit of a danger. We have people on horses that ride back in there. We have little kids on their e-bikes ripping through there, which I've got no problem them doing that. But when you start adding a big car against those little guys, it's bound to be a problem one day. So we want to get ahead of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Can we ask staff real quick? What is the process for getting one of those traffic cameras?
I'll lean on Public Works Director to help answer that question.
So we don't have a specific policy or program for adding traffic cameras. The cameras that we do have are typically video detection for vehicle detections at signals. And this portion of roadway may be a private roadway, not city maintained, in which case the city wouldn't implement anything. However, I'll be happy to follow up with the resident and after, so we can follow up after the meeting with more details.
What are those little cameras that show the speed when you drive by? Because that's what those are doing, right? They're tracking speed and quantity.
Apologies. Yeah. So I was thinking more of traditional camera.
Yeah.
So we do in certain locations have speed feedback signs, which is detecting not necessarily a camera, but the device is detecting a vehicle speed and then projecting that on the sign compared to the legal speed limit.
Does it keep track of that?
It depending on the model. Some models are strictly just feedback. Some do track data. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if we can get the resident to follow up with you on that. Thanks, Jason.
There are no other public comments. Is it for this one? Okay. So Paul Eldridge.
Paul Eldridge, 35760 Iodine Springs Road, just across the street from item 3.4 on tonight's agenda regarding an extension of time for the 77 condo units. I'm just making a statement. I'm not for or against the time extension. No problem there. For the record, I'm noting a concern about height of construction when it happens. I'm just putting it on the record so I can come back later and argue about it if I need to. And I understand I have to do that. So that's it. Thanks. Appreciate your
Great.
service.
Thank you very much. If you have any further thoughts when you get to that agenda item, you're welcome to come back and talk about them.
We have one more. Stephanie Lauderdale.
Hello again. I'm just still asking that you guys would put the road through, of course, on La Australia, but also that because it's a fire hazard for everybody also. But I have noticed that the fire department was out there at the end of La Australia off the on the pavement side before it drops into that property that's no one lives at. So the two fire department vehicles were there checking out there. I don't know what for, but also I saw the fire marshal with Raul on code enforcement past my property. So I would like to know what's going on with that too, as far as the fire marshal. You can't comment, correct?
Not only can I not comment, I don't think I have any information about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Could we get a code enforcement update?
There are no other public comments at this time.
Thank you, Heidi. All right, next up, we have approval of the agenda as presented. You all had a chance to review that?
Yes.
Objections?
Mr. Chair, if I may, there are no changes proposed to the agenda as posted.
We don't need a motion if there's no changes. We don't need a motion, right? Not normally.
Yeah, typically we have a motion and a second and a vote for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
All right, moving on to the consent calendar. We have 2 items. We'll be looking at 1.1, approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes of April 22nd, and same item for May 6th. Does anybody have an item they want to pull or talk about?
Have any issues? Can we make that motion all in one?
Yes, you can motion to
consent.
approve the consent calendar.
Oh, yeah, okay. Then I'll motion to approve the consent calendar as well.
Thank
And
you.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay. At this time, we will now open the public hearing. And we will begin with item 2.1, Municipal Code Amendment number 2026-03, with presentation by Abdu, Community Development Department.
Good evening, Commissioners, members of the public. I'll be presenting item 2.1, which is the biannual code update for spring 2026. As a way of background, Title 17 of the Wildomar Municipal Code houses the City of Wildomar's Development Code, which includes our zoning provisions. It's our zoning code. In 2008, Title 17, which is a zoning code, was established upon incorporation of the city. In 2025, a new development code was adopted as part of the Comprehensive General Plan update that was done in 2024. Oops, sorry. A little more of background. As many of you may know, this item, or a similar item, not this one specifically, went forward in April. We had a lot of public, very, very great public comment. So this item that comes before you today is a scaled down item. It is still a code update. However, it doesn't include the majority of the items that were commented on. This code update today mainly addresses kind of corrections, updates based on state law, and some minor changes to text and definitions. So I'm going to go into the details of what the changes are for this code update. Now, in terms of the code updates, these code updates are necessary for continual maintenance and to maintain accuracy of Title 17 and Title 16, which is the subdivision ordinance. It is to maintain internal consistency. Sometimes there is language that is incompatible, so we go in and try to fix it. These changes are necessary to comply with state law, properly implement this general plan, particularly the land use element. There are other elements as well, such as the noise element, that also necessitate future changes to the code to make sure that our code properly aligns with the general plan. We also need to make corrections based on implementation. Now, this new development code has been in effect for over a year, close to a year and a half now. Based on implementation, based on experiences, it necessitates some updates to the code as well. Also, there are items that we have identified that make processes more streamlined, more efficient, make things easier. The goal is to make things easier for applicants, residents, businesses, etc. So the following are some of the notable changes to the code with this biannual code update. We will be modifying the development review permit process to clearly identify the permits and to clearly define the scope. We're renaming it slightly just to make it a little bit easier. Currently, for example, you have minor development review and major development review. When they are abbreviated, they both say MDR. So when you're referring to it, you want to be able to actually refer to the right one and not say the whole thing every single time. So we will be changing it to development review and minor development review. We also want to streamline the entitlement process by making extensions of time administrative. Now, extensions of time, we believe as staff are important in terms of making sure the applicant is aware of what they're allowed to do, and make sure to understand from the applicant, for example, why they might be needing the extension of time. And with this new process that is proposed by staff, it would be administrative. However, the same findings must be made. Community notification would still be required, so they would still be required to send a notice to everyone within 600 feet, which is the standard that we have for conditional use permits, extension of time. All of these require 600-foot notification. So whatever the original notification was for the project, the extension of time would still, even though it would be administrative, the residents would still get the notification that an extension of time was applied for. Depending on the type of project, depending on community feedback, the community development director or city manager may defer the approval of the extension of time to planning commission. So it depends on the type of project. So the planning commission would still have an opportunity to approve or deny if it doesn't meet the findings. Next, we would be updating the pre-application review section to make the process more streamlined, make the process a little more understandable and less confusing. Currently, in the pre-application review section, there is a lot of items in a checklist that typically would not be required. However, because they're on a checklist, we ask for them, which increases costs and increases the time required to review these type of items. So we're trying to make it a little more streamlined for the pre-application review process. We would be updating Title 17 and the General Plan Amendment initiation process to streamline that as well. General Plan amendments would still have to be approved by Planning Commission and City Council, so they would still have to go to both. However, we would be eliminating what's called the General Plan initiation process, which is an extra process that even before they would submit their General Plan amendment application, they would have to go through Planning Commission and City Council, and then go to Planning Commission and City Council again. So we're kind of eliminating that first step, which would be it's very cumbersome. We would also be updating the temporary use / event permit provisions. Mainly it's to align with city goals and to clarify some provisions. We would allow temporary events up to 12 times per year. So currently, right now, most temporary events are allowed only up to 6 times per year. This would up the allowable to 12 times per year. For example, a craft fair, kind of like an open air market, right, would be able to do once a month instead of just once every 2 months. Moving on, we also would allow a certified farmers market without a temporary event permit, temporary use permit. So now certified farmers markets are a very specific category. They're certified by the proper authorities, which is not the city. They wouldn't be certified by the city. They're certified typically by the county or the state. Those have their own provisions, and they would be allowed to operate. Now, if it's going to be a permanent, maybe more than once a week sort of thing, they would have to get a CUP. However, pretty much once a week would be allowed for a certified, as long as it's a certified farmers market, it would be allowed once a week at certain locations. In addition, part of this code update would update our ADU provisions to comply with the multiple approved state laws, multiple adopted state laws. There are a lot of changes every single year, and this keeps us up to date and doesn't put us out of compliance. Once we're out of compliance, pretty much our entire ADU ordinance is shut down, and we have to go with the states. So as long as we keep ours updated, we can keep our regulations and provisions. We also have SB 9, which is also another state law in regards to the urban lot splits. We are re-adding the SB 9 to Title 17. It was inadvertently removed as part when we did our code update. and we are re-adding it. We're also updating the existing SB 9 provisions. There were new state laws that updated the SB 9 provisions as well. Another summary of what is changing, we're cleaning up various parts of Title 17 and 16 to update outdated references, such as references to planning directors, which we don't have a planning director, we have a community development director. Changes from planning department to planning division, which is actually what our division is actually called. It's not the planning department. We're updating various definitions as well to align the proposed changes. We're updating our retaining wall regulations just to clarify what the requirements are and what is allowed. And we are also updating allowances related to parks and religious institutions. Now for parks, we are allowing parks in rural residential zones. And in terms of religious institutions, they would not be allowed in mixed use zones. However, they are still allowed in multiple other zones. We are very limited in what we can do for religious institutions. There is a federal law, the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. I might have butchered that, but it's a law that was passed in I believe the 90s, and we have to allow religious institutions in most of our zones. However, specifically for mixed use zones, because of the way the mixed use developments are, it would induce a lot of extra traffic as well as other impacts that in another standalone location would not. In addition, as part of the recommendation to recommend this City Council determine that this code amendment and its adopted ordinance are exempt under CEQA and to adopt the PZ resolution. Staff also, we did get one letter from the public notifying us of additional changes that we missed. There are multiple references to planning director that we missed. There's there's over 300 pages in this code, so we did miss a few. So staff would ask for, as part of your motion, to also let us make those additional changes to fix the additional planning director and planning department changes to go to City Council. Staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Planner Lashkar. Do we have any questions?
Not at this moment.
Not specifically at this moment. Well, hold on. On the decision for the EOT decision, do residents still have appeal rights under the administrative EOT decision if it were to go through the administrative process?
Yes. Those items can still be appealed to Planning Commission, and Planning Commission can still be appealed to City Council.
And then what objective criteria would staff require to refer an EOT back to the Planning Commission?
I can take a stab at that. So as Mr. Lashkar explained, there's still a notification requirement. So if we receive some type of feedback that identifies that the project is controversial, has conflicts, has issues, or there's just community concern over something, that may be something that we can defer to the Planning Commission and or City Council, depending on who the approving body is. In addition to that, if staff feels that the project cannot meet the findings, we highly likely will defer that to Planning Commission to express that in a public setting, and also allow the public, the Planning Commission, to make that determination. If we feel that there's challenges or changes to the project, or feel that it's a controversial project or a project that may impact the community in a way that it didn't impact it in the past, because things have changed, which is one of the findings we have to make, we'll defer those kind of things to the Planning Commission as well.
Got it. I think that's all I have for right now.
Can you tell us, please, just briefly, if you're able, a little bit more about the the general plan amendment initiation process, like why were we doing that and why can we now not do it?
So we were doing it because we inherited it from the county. So the county does it mainly. Maybe Robert could elaborate more because he had actually worked at the county.
Yeah. So the initial code we inherited was from the county, and that does still include the initiation process. That roots from the original 2003 general plan from the county that that includes a program called the certainty system. At the time that that was adopted, the county is a big area, so a lot of the communities were concerned that land uses would change frequently, so they adopted the certainty system in order to ensure that impactful general plan amendments are not done unless there's community feedback and input, and it's something that the decision-making body wants to see move forward before it actually starts. So that provision is actually consistent with what a policy that's in the general plan in the county. We don't have that in our general plan, and it's just a carryover, and it's an extra step that we really don't need to do because the project is going to be heard at a public hearing. It's going to go through the extensive review process anyways. So we're trying to clean that up in order to be more consistent with our general plan that doesn't have that program in place at this point. So.
Great, thank you. What establishes the 3 feet step for retaining walls? I know that was a call out. If you exceed the maximum, you've got to step back 3 feet and then get to the next one. Is that a standard, or is that an arbitrary number? Or?
No, that's not arbitrary. That's a standard that's in practice. From the engineering side of things, from my experience, our experience working with our colleagues in engineering, that's a typical standard. The purpose of that, or the intent of that provision, is to ensure that we don't have massive walls, right? Sometimes these grade elevations or grade changes are really steep and really large. So there are situations where you can have a 12-foot wall to ensure they can have that retaining and also build whatever they're proposing. This allows for a break, a horizontal break in the wall, so that you can even add landscaping. It's enough room to add landscaping and something else to screen the wall and break it apart so that we don't have massive walls. So.
Good, thank you, Director. And then the 600 feet for notification for extensions of time, is that a standard as well, or is that a number we chose?
Actually, for non-public hearing items, there is no requirement for notification, but typical requirements for public hearing per state law is actually 300. Our code actually has a 600-foot requirement for public hearings, and even these notices that are required to be sent for extension of time. So
yeah,
it's in excess of that.
But that hasn't changed. That's been our standard for many years.
We continue to exceed.
Yes.
And then my last question, on religious institutions in residential zones, are those typically permitted by right?
No, I believe they're recommended as conditional use permit because those type of institutions usually have several items that we want to address, like parking, circulation, traffic, and things of that nature. So they'll require a CUP. The reason they're being allowed, they're already allowed in some residential zones, but it's being expanded, is to achieve goals of our general plan, which require us or direct us to try to create a community and try to create healthy communities at that, to where you have a mix of uses in one area and you allow for walkability and things of that nature. If you separate the uses, then you introduce the need for a vehicle to get from one place to the other, and you have the residential on one side, all the services and things of that nature on another side, and you don't have that connectivity and you don't have that healthy community that you want to achieve. So this allows, if in the right place, if appropriate, the decision makers to approve that use with conditions, but within the communities to create that atmosphere and that environment.
Yeah, adding on to what Mr. Flores has said. So in our code, for example, in the single family zone, like R1, RR, RA, they are permitted, religious institutes are permitted. However, they still have to go through the development review process. They still have to, if for example, it's over a certain square footage, which is 5,000 in our code, they would have to go to planning commission. Right.
So like parking, traffic.
Yeah. So everything has to be, and if it's over a certain size, it has to go through CEQA, right? So they still have to meet all of the regulations that any other use, an assembly use, right? So part of what the federal law says is that we cannot regulate these different from other type of assembly uses, for example, right? So a lot of these, for example, religious institutions have schools, right? So they have to also be judged on the merit of the school, but they have to be regulated the way they are. In commercial zones, typically they require CUP just because, if a church is moving into a multi-tenant, you have those like storefront churches, for example, storefront religious institution, right? They require CUP typically because they have a big impact on, for example, parking, et cetera. So there's additional impacts. But either way, whether it's in residential or commercial, it still is reviewed. You still have to evaluate traffic, parking. They still have to provide landscaping. They still have to provide, for example, street improvements. They still have to go through anything that any other development would have to go through.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just to add to that, the only situation where you may not have that process take place is if there's a change in operation or the religious institution like for like. So if a church was already approved there, all the traffic and all the impacts were already addressed, it was already designed appropriately, they're leaving and a new church is coming in, they can go in and use that property because it was already built for that purpose. So just wanted to clarify and make sure you understand that.
Yeah, not a problem.
Great, thank you for that. That's all the questions I have. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Gina Castanon.
Good evening, staff, Planning Commission, and members of the audience here and at home. I want some clarification on the extension of time. So what we're doing is taking away the authority of Planning Commission and City Council to approve the extension of time on these projects. That's my understanding. So each of these projects over time, I've done this a long time, they come through multiple extensions of time. And like it was said, things change in the 5 years from the time that they start the process and they need to extend their project, and things change. If we take away the middleman, you guys, and then the accountability of City Council, where does the community come in? Where do we have the opportunity of accountability and transparency between Planning Commission and City Council? City Council is the end all. That's why they get elected. That's their job. And to take it away from commissioners and City Council, I think is a bad idea. There's the oversight. There's an opportunity to deny the project when it comes up for extension. At times, the opportunity that the community can, chime in. We can't, the public has really not that much say-so, and you're taking more of that away from us. And I think everybody needs to hear from the community more than less. So I would not like this change. Thanks.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.
Ann Keegans.
Hi again. I completely agree with Gina. With the planned residential development, it needs to include the council. Otherwise, it is not transparent enough for the residents, especially the rural property owners. And my own example, there's 3 large properties across the street from me, more than 50 acres. I need to know what's going on with those properties. If it's left just to the Planning Commission, there's no way for us to come here and have public comment about it. It's completely secretive, in my opinion, and it's just a bad idea for the residents. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Saunders have donated time from George Canberra.
Good evening, Commissioners. One reason we became a city was to ensure the residents have a voice and transparency. And it's sounding to me, in looking at this, is that we're actually going backwards, especially on the general plan amendment changes. And that's one of the things I passed out there is, there's a lot of red lines here. And we're going backwards. Actually, the county asked for the residents have a say, or they bring the general plan amendment to the community, and then we get to voice our input. Then the developer goes back and builds a plan, and then he comes to you, and then on to city council. With the county, that's the way they do it. They bring it out publicly, and then the developer knows where they stand with that. Then it goes to Planning Commission, Board of Supervisors. So we need to stay on that same plan process. And when you stop and think about it, we've done the general plan process already. There's been all kinds of subcommittee meetings on the development code as well. So I do understand that some of these changes are state mandated, like the ADU items, for example. So those are important, and those can be changed. But some of these other things, I question whether they're actually state required. I was hoping actually that we'd have more details surrounding the changes. When you're doing a contract, you go to buy something, they just say, oh, sign here, here's the things, but you don't really get into the meat and potatoes of it. And if you look at this, there's a lot of red lines here. I spent hours looking through all of these, and there's a lot of them, to tell you the truth, I don't understand exactly what all of them mean. And I was really hoping that we'd have some type of subcommittee where we can sit down for a couple hours and have the community come out, and they can say, okay, this is the general plan. Well, we did get some explanation tonight, but not on every single red line here. This is why we had to do this line. This is why we had to change this. This is, for each item. It would be nice to really have some good clarity. If you go to the page, the development code page in that packet I passed out, about 4 pages back, there's the conditional use permit. Right now, it goes to city manager and development director, then to planning commission for approval, and that's it. If there's a conditional use permit. On conditional use permits, I'm thinking about that Garden Grove incident there. I think everybody knows about what happened there. And, we have that battery facility coming. At first I was thinking, oh, good, we're not like Garden Grove. We don't have to worry about something like that. But if that battery facility comes and starts on fire, we're going to have the same situation. Well, that's a conditional use permit that only went to the Planning Commission. It's a 30-year permit. It would have been nice to have had that also go to City Council so they could have had their input as well on that project, or any conditional use projects, because a lot of them are for 30 years. So at the end of the day, if you're looking at the conditional use permit, it should really be R for the city manager, refer it on to Planning Commission, and then R for Planning Commission refers it on to the City Council. Next one is development review. If we've got a big development, it should be referred from the city manager, community development director, to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission refers it on to the City Council. Same process again like the county does. It goes to Planning Commission at the county, then to the Board of Supervisors. Extension of time, as some other people were talking about tonight, it should be referred on to Planning Commission, so Planning Commission can take a look, and then on to City Council for approval. Really, at the end of the day, does it really cost that much more to throw it on the agenda? If nobody has anything to say, move on. If there's something, then we've got a voice, and we're able to say a few things about it. And then also, on a lot of these things that are brought forth by the developers, they have to pay for the processing fees and so forth anyway. And then here's an important one, planned residential development, referred on from the city manager and development director to the Planning Commission. And the buck stops at the Planning Commission, and based on the proposal. It should be referred, as already in place, it should be referred on to City Council. City Council has the final say. Like, for example, Mission Trail in Como, there's a big development coming in there. If this gets changed, looks to me like it would stop at Planning Commission. I think the City Council should have a final say in that as well. So at the end of the day, I hope that you'll let us the community, take a deeper look into the entire packet, have a subcommittee, just one meeting up at the Santa Rosa Room for a couple hours. We can sit down with the planning directors and look at all the details, at least give us all an opportunity to do that. And then from there, I can move back through the formal process. I think that would be the way to go. And then that way there's nothing being hidden, nothing that we're missing out on. We'll get a clear explanation on every one of these red lines. I think everyone will feel a lot better about that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate all you do.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
There are no other public comments.
All right, thank you. So that takes us to the discussion.
Mr. Chair, if you may, I'd just like to provide some clarification on some of the items we heard in anticipation of possible questions, just to address some of these items. Just off the top of my head, because I just heard it, the planned residential development, which is just discussed, that is a particular type of permit. It doesn't apply to all planned residential projects, right? It's a specific type of permit that requests deviations and special attention and special requests. That is a permit that is still in the books, and we just made changes to it, and it still comes to the Planning Commission for approval. We're not taking that back to an administrative approval. So that is an extensive permit that still stays through the public hearing process. So in addition to that, there was mention about the general plan initiation process that we're recommending changes. Just a little bit more feedback on the county general plan and the certainty system, which I mentioned earlier. The county is a little unique when their land use is a little unique. They don't just have land uses like we do. They have something that's called foundation land uses, and that there's like 5 categories. And so the initiation process was made for changes from one foundation land use to another foundation land use cannot occur but every 8 years. The initiation process is to allow for those foundation changes. Changes between the one foundation, like if you have 5 different land uses within one foundation, they can occur at any time, up to 4 times a year, like was mentioned earlier, that we can amend our general plan amendments. So those can occur all the time. They don't require initiation process because they're normal general plan amendments, and they do go through the same process that we have in our books now. And we're not changing the general plan amendment process. We're just removing that initiation requirement. And then the CUP was brought up too. There's no change proposed to the CUP. The process is the same, and it's, from my experience, the same and typical from every agency. Usually a CUP, a development review permit, those types of project specific permits are typically reviewed by staff, and action is taken by the Planning Commission. And keep in mind, it could still be appealed to the City Council, but this process that we have in place, which we're not changing, is typical. The City Council is a legislative body, so they deal with more than just land use like you guys do. So they have a lot of items that they hear on their agenda. So they kept the authority, like it's typical with all cities, to act on legislative items like general plan amendments, change of zones, and things of development agreements and things of that nature. But they delegated the responsibility to the Planning Commission as a quasi-judicial body to take action on these specific project type permits. So all that is still in place. Nothing has changed. And then there was one more. Oh, on the extension of time, I just want to make it clear that there's still an opportunity for the public to be involved. We're keeping that notification requirement, which is not typical of an extension of time, but we're keeping it in because we heard the community. We want them to be involved. We want to hear their feedback. We want to hear their comments. And it is a discretionary action. So it's not something that is a ministerial approval where we have to approve it. We have to make findings for these extensions of times. And one of those findings is staff has to look at it, or the Planning Commission has to look at it as currently is, and determine whether things have changed significantly enough that weren't addressed during the initial review and approval where it warrants to send them back to start all over, right? So we still have to make that finding, but we have to make it based off strong technical evidence. And so whether it's the Planning Commission or staff, those findings have to be made. The public can still be involved, and the decision that's made in either case still can be appealed to the upper bodies. I think those are the few items that I wanted to speak on, and happy to answer any other questions you guys have. Thank you.
Any discussion from the dais?
I did want to bring one point up, and I think this is one of the points that I had brought up to you, Abdu and Robert. It was on the agenda action section, the reference for the MCA number 2025-03. I just want to make sure that we clarify that before we make any motions here today, that it should consistently refer to the MCA number 2026-03. Not anything for 2025-03.
That is correct, and it was a technical error that
is a typo. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. But anything referencing, and part of this is Municipal Code Amendment 2026-03, not 2025.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to note that. And then, so from my end, guys, I support the technical cleanup portions of the update, the corrections of the outdated references, and the changes needed for the state compliance. I'm all in favor for all that stuff, guys. I think it's all positive changes. No major questions, qualms, or anything from my end. My primary concern is still under the proposed change to make extensions of time administrative. From my end, excuse me, it's my firm belief that EOT is not just paperwork. It keeps the entitlement alive for additional years. The findings require the city to determine whether the project remains consistent with the general plan, remains consistent with the development code, and whether local circumstances have changed in a way that prior approval is incompatible or proper or possibly inappropriate. So, I respect staff and understand the need for the efficiency, but efficiency should not come at the expense of transparency. So public confidence or the role of the Planning Commission. Commissioners, all of us, we live here. We hear from the residents, and we understand the rural and suburban balance that makes Wildomar unique. So I can support the cleanup and the state law compliance portions, but I cannot support moving EOT authority from the Planning Commission to an administrative process as it's drafted. So that's from my notes, my discussion points. You guys are clear to give your 2 cents in as well.
I 100% agree with you on the EOTs because we've got, 4 extensions of time tonight. One of them dates, I've been here for 8 years, and it dates me by a couple of years, I think. So commissions change, communities change. So yeah, I agree with Gina and Ms. Keegan's and Don on that, and Renee, and I'll bet you, but 100% on not making that administrative.
Yeah, on this item, we're wrestling with 2 important items. There's the need to increase or improve the efficiency of the process, like Director Flores mentioned. In many cases, these extensions of time seem to be performative in that there hasn't been a significant change. Our city staff have reviewed these items. They assure us that they haven't changed significantly, and we're going to sit up here and we're going to stamp it because that's all we can do, right? Unless we want to get into a legal question. However, also there are some projects which languish. And we all drive by them, and we wonder why we're not getting beneficial use from that lot that has been permitted and no activity has happened for 6, sometimes up to 9 years. And we'd really like that developer to come tell us what's going on there. And so even though this isn't a question of like whether they've changed the project or whether we're going to, deny them, I think the public and we would benefit from that understanding and having that discussion. I would propose maybe splitting the difference. I think there are a lot of extensions of time that for various reasons can be done administratively, can be done ministerially. A first extension of time for standard reasons, and there isn't a change and notification to those within that 600 feet. Probably those can be done without a whole lot of fanfare. If there is public outcry about that particular project, bring it to the Planning Commission. Beyond that, when we're looking at that second and third, I would prefer to keep that advisory role here with the Planning Commission. Although in most cases there won't be a change, I know that our city staff will bring a project that maybe possibly there's a question about whether it's changed significantly. We need to have a discussion about that, maybe some back and forth with the developer. So the proposal that I have is to split that difference. First extension of time with no significant changes and no public interest or significant public interest. Let those be ministerially, and then escalate beyond that for those seconds and thirds.
And just point of clarification, Mr. Chair, for extensions of time, you're not advisory, you're a decision-making body. So I think what you're proposing would be to maintain the status quo on 2 and 3, extensions of time 2 and 3.
Correct. Yes. Thank you.
Disagree. I think they should all come across for the exact same reasons, for all the same reasons as 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think if it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. Entitlements, although I do believe that if the entitlement was originally administrative, then let's keep it that way. But if it went through the Planning Commission, let's keep it going through the Planning Commission, going through the same process that we've always gone. It's, I think, from my end.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, I think the majority is clear there. Are there any other items on here that we want to have discussion on?
It's another point of clarification. Hearing the direction that this council may want to go. There are other changes in that section, extension of time. If I'm hearing correctly, is leave it alone as far as the authority, but there's changes, technical cleanups and references to permits we don't have that we're doing in there. We're just talking about the authority delegation, right? Make it administrative. Everything else is okay in that section, or is there something I can clarify if in case this body decides to not move forward with the delegating the authority to staff, we want to keep the other changes and not just get rid of them. And a point also on if we do have administrative permits, right now our code, and correct me if I'm wrong, Abdu, right now our code requires us to bring it to Planning Commission even though we administratively approve it. So if that's the will of the commission, with any recommendation, if that's a direction you'd like to go, I would strongly suggest that we incorporate making at least the administrative, keeping the administrative approvals as staff approvals for extension of times, but anything that came to you guys has to come back.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Just to simplify things, you are a recommending body on this, so in the event you want to make a motion later to approve with the condition, with the modification, you can just refer to Director Flores' statement that he just made.
Got it.
Simplified
Did
thing.
you record it?
Someone did.
I did want to bring up one thing. Don did bring up a good point on the subcommittee. What would the logistics or something like that look like if we were to consider applying that additional layer for a subcommittee?
So I would also lean on my colleague here to augment or correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe a subcommittee can be created by the City Council. I'm not sure if Planning Commission can create a subcommittee because this is a legislative act. But if that is the case, if I'm correct, then what we can do is take that matter to council and ask them their thoughts and the direction they want to go, and they can take action to create a subcommittee for the purposes of these biannual updates, because these are going to be recurring and ongoing. So if they want us to incorporate that feature into the process, they can create that subcommittee, and we can bring in the community and work with them as we move forward with any amendments. In this situation, since the item is before you already and you are a recommending body, I suggest we move forward, and maybe at the same time we can bring that item to council to create that committee. But please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure. So the law is clear that city councils can create ad hoc subcommittees, like budget subcommittee, economic development. It's not so clear as to lower bodies that are appointed by the council. So a lot of cities, they don't really delve into this, or they explicitly prohibit lower committees because it gets unwieldy as far as staffing for them. Those are policy decisions, not legal ones. Another way to approach it could be just having a meeting, an informal meeting. You know, it could be one or two planning commissioners, or, you know, it could be informal meeting with staff, where there is essentially the same type of discussion that seems like was requested earlier. So it doesn't have to be, you know, as long as there's not a quorum of the body, there can be, you know, scheduling of meetings, as long as we're not violating the Brown Act. Thank you.
In addition to that, if I may add, staff is already taking the initiative to improve our process, and because of recent items that were brought before us and concerns for possibly big changes like this, or a specific change on a topic that is significant, and you know, we want community feedback, we are going to start bringing these changes to this body as a workshop first, before it comes here as a hearing item, so that we can present what we're recommending, listen to the community, make changes, and then bring that back. Similar to the way this worked, we came, one time we heard, we made changes, we brought it back. So it's an extra level of opportunity for the public to provide feedback. It's not in the subcommittee manner where there could be dialogue and feedback back and forth, but at least it's an opportunity for the public to further provide feedback, not just during the normal public hearing process.
Thank you. One other, changing gears a little bit, on the parks now permitted as uses for rural zones, rural areas.
Yes.
Is there a mechanism by which the city can decide what type of park?
We do have, and I'll lean on Director Farag if he wants to add anything to it, but we do have a Parks and Trails Master Plan that identifies those public facilities, those recreational facilities, whether passive or active. And so we lean on that heavily when we're working with projects that are proposing park and amenities. But a lot of the parks that we're proposing are city-initiated parks, or city parks that we're developing. So we not only rely on that, but on what we hear and what the needs are for the community to implement that to parks. But Jason, if you want to add to that.
And I apologize, Chair, could I ask you to repeat that part of the question?
Yeah, no problem. There's one item we're now making parks permitted uses in all rural areas. Yay, parks. But I didn't see that there was a mechanism for deciding what type of park is going in there. We have like the passive parks and sports parks and things like that.
Yeah, and Director Flores, I think, spoke to that pretty well in terms of our Parks Master Plan kind of being the guiding document with respect to preferred recommended locations of parks, and then within those recommended locations, what type of park it is. So there might be a larger, more regional park or a more local park, and then based on the type of park, what type of amenities are recommended for that park. So the Parks Master Plan really highlights that. In addition to that, one of the items that the city is working on as part of the strategic plan that the City Council has approved is an additional further evaluation of ultimately, you know, what the services are and what the amenities are that are intended to be provided for the community long term. So that will also help inform the details of what may be at a park, whether it's a community center or some other type of facility. So primarily the Parks Master Plan is that guiding document that we do use as we review development projects to determine if a park is appropriate in a specific location. But then moving forward from there, the strategic plan or strategic vision will help kind of even more hone in or focus those details.
Yeah, once that strategic plan is approved, that's going to be a document we can use as well. Currently, we're going through the process of creating that. So council approved us initiating that process, and so it's not approved yet, but it's going to be before council once the planning is done. And once that is approved, then we can use it for our planning purposes.
The reason for that question, I guess, is if a private landowner with 50 acres that they don't know what to do with decides I want to build a park here, that would be a permitted use. But it sounds like the policy of the city would be to find some way to drive that process and potentially own that park and that land at some point. Or could I operate a private park for my own?
So if I may, Jason, these are public parks, so parks that the city is either building or going to maintain, take ownership. But keep in mind, even though uses are permitted, if you're talking about a vacant land, you still have to get an entitlement. It's called the development review. Okay. So they're not required to apply for a conditional use permit because we're not approving the use. The use is permitted, but we still want to approve the way it's developed. So that will go through that process.
Thank you. I think that's all I have on discussion items. It sounds like we've got pretty close to a motion built. If anybody has the...
If I may, with any motion, just going back to Abdu's presentation, we did receive that email that everybody got a copy of, and we have available copies for the public regarding some changes, global changes we missed. So I want to incorporate that into the recommendation so that we can make those changes and present that to the City Council.
Yeah, thank you to Sharp-Eyed residents. Search and replace doesn't always work as well as you think it does.
Come on, yeah.
Yes, true. Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission recommend approval of Municipal Code Amendment number 2026 to the City Council, subject to correction of the clerical reference that we mentioned, and Mr. Goddard's email with the corrections that he had mentioned as well, and with modification that the EOT follow the original approval authority, and entitlements originally approved administratively may continue to be administrative, and entitlements originally approved by the Planning Commission shall return to the Planning Commission for any extension of time.
That sounds good, and if there's any ambiguity, we can just say what the director, as the director indicated, and just rely on, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds right to me.
One second.
Keeping 3 EOTs in the authority of the Planning Commission, keeping admin permits as they are, making the technical corrections.
I'm sorry, admin permits currently have to come to the Planning Commission, so it is a change to allow admin permits to be extended administratively.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, yeah, okay. I will second that.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Campero,
Present.
Commissioner Filo,
Aye.
and Chair King.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
All right. On to the next.
This will close the public hearing, and we'll move on to general business. We have item 3.1, extension of time for CUP 19-0093, presented by Abdul Lashkar.
Now for the fun part. It's been a while since we had this many EOTs on the docket, so yeah, let's get started. So, presenting item 3.1, which is an extension of time for CUP number 19-0093, which is the Wildomar Shooting Range / Academy on the corner of Mission Trail and Bundy Canyon. This is extension of time number 2. This project is located, like I mentioned, on the southeast corner of Mission Trail and Bundy Canyon Road. The project site encompasses around 2.3 acres. A little bit of background. The City Council originally in February of 2020 took the following actions: adopted an MND which is a CEQA determination. Approve the general plan amendment for not to change the general plan land use designation. However, it was a minor change to the circulation element back at that period of time. They approved the consistency change of zone from RR to MSC. MSC is currently MI, just the industrial zone. Approved the setback variance and approved the conditional use permit to construct the shooting range. The applicant is now currently requesting their second extension of time. 3 years ago, they got their first extension of time for 3 years, so this year the extension expired. The applicant's requesting a 2-year extension of his time as permitted by the municipal code. With commission approval of EOT number 2, the new expiration date will be February 12th, 2028. So it would be an additional two years of extension. The expiration date was February of 2026, so about 4 months ago. However, they did submit everything on time. So as long as they met their findings in terms of submitting everything on time, they are allowed to move forward based on when we schedule our extensions of time with the Planning Commission. The applicant is permitted one additional time extension if needed, with the ultimate deadline to begin construction ending on February 12th of 2029. This is the exhibit of the originally approved project. No changes are being proposed. This is the same project. These are the exhibits, the originally approved exhibits for the approved project. The proposed EOT meets all the required findings in the municipal code, which are that they submitted on time, and the circumstances have not changed. The project is the lot is still a flat dirt lot. Nothing has really changed there. The circumstances have not changed, and no changes are being proposed, and it still meets the zoning and the general plan. Based on the findings, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2026-08 and to take the following actions to approve the EOT request and determine that no additional environmental review is required. We are available for any questions. I believe the applicant was not able to come to today's meeting.
Did they state why or when, or do they have an ETA, or?
At this point, they don't have an ETA. However, they said they're still working behind the scenes. The reason why it hasn't been built yet is because there were major financing issues.
First one I think they said economic, just the economy in general.
But from what they've told us is there is potential for this project to move forward within the next couple of years. However, they needed the extension of time to be able to actually do that.
Would it be realistic to say they can get something started before the final EOT?
There's really no way for us to.
You know, I've seen projects get built within the initial period, which is 3 years. That's what they have left. And I believe it is financial, the reason they haven't moved forward. So, you know, if they do bring somebody online, which I believe they're actively working to actually build the project, it is possible.
If this project does not move through completion and that permit expires, that final extension expires, what would a future development look like? Would the same thing be possible on that lot?
Potentially, but they would have to go through the entire process from scratch. So environmental, the review would have to be, they would have to meet today's rules and regulations. Everything has to get started from scratch. So if a project expires, pretty much it reverts back to just raw land.
And then current general plan, current zoning, current regulation all applies at that point?
Yes.
And just to your question, it may not look the same because we do have a new general plan and we do have a new development code. So, and there's new standards, you know, local, state, federal, on the engineering side as well. So it may look different, but the use is still permitted. They can go through the process again.
Do we have any public comments on this item?
Don Saunders.
Good evening. There's there's actually one flaw in this project that really should have never been approved, and hopefully you can ask Public Works to give us some clarification tonight. I don't know what the general plan calls for as far as road width, but originally, if you go down by the high school, as you know, it's really wide on Bundy Canyon. It's basically, it would accommodate 3 lanes on each side. When this project was approved, basically sold out and said, oh, we're only going to make it 2 lanes. That's all we need on Bundy Canyon. So when this project, say it was to go in tomorrow, it's going to only be 2 lanes in front of that project. So basically for 4-lane width in that section, and then it's going to widen back out when you get down to the high school there. So I think it would be nice for the commission to ask Public Works for some clarification about that road width in that area, because I think we let that project take away our road right away, basically, of 1 lane. And someday that's going to be, it's already busy along there, but it's going to be even a busier street. And we're going to say, geez, we have basically 3 lanes width down at the other end, and then down here it's going to be 2 lanes. So maybe we can get some clarification. Thanks.
Jason, I thought there was some lane work that they were doing, if I remember way back then, but it was like a turn lane or something, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and Abdu, I don't know if we could put the site plan back up on the screen, but I wasn't involved in the entitlement, so I don't personally know all of the details, but the project did do a general plan amendment, and they did essentially downgrade this section of Bundy Canyon. So under the old general plan and the old circulation plan, this was a 6-lane road from the freeway west to eventually an alignment that connected to Lake Elsinore. During this general plan amendment for this project, they did an analysis that supported the downgrading from 6 lanes to 4 lanes west of the freeway. When we did our mobility element in 2021, and then subsequently adopted or incorporated that mobility element as the new circulation element in the new general plan, we also reran traffic models to verify, adequate lane capacities for all of our different circulation element roads. So this did not come up as being insufficient or being beyond capacity at 4 lanes. So it remained as 4 lanes, and it still is 4 lanes in the current circulation plan. In terms of the variation in the road width, obviously when the school district built Elsinore High School, at that time, the general plan was called for 6 lanes, and so they would have built to what the general plan called for at that time. That's not uncommon, whereas standards change and road standards change or the circulation element changes, that you may get a project that built to a prior standard, and now all adjacent projects are building to a newer standard. And this is a common theme that we do see on some of our newer projects, as we've adopted new city standards for our updated circulation element. And so there is a little bit of finesse in terms of the transitioning between previously widened sections and newer sections, and there is some judgment and discretion in terms of what is appropriate for the adjacent developments and making sure we have proper merging transitions where we're going from a wider section to a narrower section and things of that nature. And Abdu, thank you for pulling this up on the screen. So I don't see any specific dedicated turn pockets into the site on Bundy Canyon or Mission Trail in terms of right turn pockets. Obviously, there would be, looks like it's cut off there, but I anticipate that there would be a striped median that would allow for left turns in. But I don't see a dedicated right turn pocket into the site from either Mission Trail or Bundy Canyon. But that's just a little bit of the history as I'm familiar with it, but happy to answer any additional questions.
Director Flores, is it possible for us to condition a project that is already in process and permitted?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is an extension of time, and state law, I believe, and local ordinances do allow conditions to be modified or changed based on the current need. But I'll lean on my colleague to make sure.
So there could be, there's discretion for any entitlement conditional use permit to be reconsidered. There just have to be another public hearing, so conditions can be changed, adjusted, and it's basically due process that someone gets notice in a hearing for any potential changes or hypothetically for any revocation. It's the same song and dance.
Yeah. To add to that, basically, for example, if the developer, right, or like the applicant wanted to change some of their conditions of approval under our code, they would have to do what's called a revised permit. And the revised permit, basically, they have to pay the fee, submit the plans, and everything, then go back to, the approving body, which in this case would be Planning Commission, right? And then you guys would approve, that would reopen the project. So you would either approve, deny, add, recommend whatever conditions you want to recommend added, et cetera. So that's kind of, but for the extension of time specifically, no, you wouldn't be able to add any conditions to the extension because this is only the extension.
There are no other public comments.
All right. Do you want to have discussion?
Back when this was originally proposed, it was a huge hit in the community. I can see, maybe future traffic issues, but not a concern for this, for an EOT.
Yeah, I don't have any major concerns or issues with to pass the EOT now.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the PC resolution number 2026-08.
I'll make a second.
Have a roll call, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
All right, next up we have 3.2, another extension of time. This is number 1 for TPM 38646, presented by Abdul Achkar.
All right, this is my presentation for tentative parcel map 38646. This would be extension of time number 1. This project is located on the southwest corner of Glen Keith Road and Elizabeth Lane. The site is about 26.8 acres. This project is known as Wildomar Commerce Center, originally known as the Rincon project. Rancon project, not Rincon. And currently it's known as Wildomar Commerce Center. They got their tentative parcel map approved by Planning Commission on May 3rd, 2023. And the Planning Commission took the following actions: adopted environmental clearance per section 15162, approved tentative parcel map 38646 to subdivide the site into 7 parcels for future business park, industrial, and service commercial uses. The lot is zoned industrial. That hasn't changed. This is the parcel map to be able to parcel it out for future development. The applicant is requesting the first extension of time to allow for more time to record the map. So they have to go through multiple steps in terms of getting the map recorded, right? Because currently the parcel lines are not aligned with what they got approved because they haven't gotten the map recorded with the assessor. The applicant's requesting their first extension, which is for 3 years, with commission approval of EOT number 1. The new expiration date for this would be May 3rd, 2029. The applicant's permitted 2 additional time extensions. So the second time extension would be for 2 years, third one would be for 1 year. The ultimate deadline to record the map would be May 3rd, 2032, provided they get all 3 of their extensions of time. This is the exhibit for tentative parcel map 38646. It includes 7 lots for future industrial use. The proposed EOT meets all the required findings in that it still meets the zoning, it meets the general plan, does not affect the health and safety of anybody. The project conditions have not changed as part of this, and they paid their fees and submitted their application prior to the expiration date. Based on the findings, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2026-09 to approve the EOT request and determine that no additional environmental review is required. I do not believe the applicant was able to make it for this one, so staff is available for any additional questions.
Thank you, Abdu. Questions?
Thank you. What's the status of the development agreement application?
I can speak to that. So along with this parcel map, we do have entitlements for an industrial development for this project there. Not necessarily aligned on timing. That's why the parcel map is brought before you today. But the entitlements for the industrial development is in process. We're working with the applicant and negotiating with the development agreement. There's public benefit and other provisions that need to be addressed and worked on with the applicant. So we're still working through that, looking at bringing that forward to the Planning Commission within the next meeting or two to address the actual entitlement for the development.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comments.
Discussion?
Nope, that'll be a good one when it comes through.
I think it's clear.
Looking for that motion?
I'll make a motion to pass PC Resolution number 2026-08. Oh, wait, is that the one that we just did?
That's right.
09, excuse me. PC Resolution 2026-09.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, moving on to item 3.3, another extension of time. This is for CUP 22-0181, presented by Abdu.
This extension of time is extension of time number 1 for CUP/plot plan number 220181, which is known as the Cat Crossings Retail Center. This project is located at the terminus of Cat Road at the northeast corner of the I-15 freeway and Clinton Keith Road. It is to the east of the Chevron station. The project site is about 2.8 acres, or 2.78 to be exact. The Planning Commission took the following actions on CUP/plot plan 220181 in May of 2023. Adopted a Class 32 CEQA exemption for infill, approved a conditional use permit to develop the Quick Quack Express Car Wash, and approved a plot plan to develop the retail center, which included a couple of retail buildings. The applicant is requesting their first extension of time to allow for more time to prep for grading and building permits. There have been some issues with the surrounding developments and the road, and making sure everything is aligned on their end. With Commission approval of EOT number 1, the new expiration date for this project will be May 3rd of 2029. The applicant is permitted their 2 additional time extensions if needed, with the ultimate deadline to begin construction on May 3rd, 2032. This is the site plan. On the west side, you have the Quick Quack, and then on the south side, you have the 2 retail buildings. And the entrances and exits to this would be on Cat Road. There would be no connection. There's a bit of a great difference between this project and the Chevron property, so there would be no connection. So all the entrance would be from Cat Road. There would be no connection to Clinton Keith Road that was approved with this project. So all entrances and exits. It's too close to the on-ramp for that one. These are the elevations for the approved buildings. So you have the retail building, the other retail building and restaurant, and then you have the car wash building. At the time of approval, it met all of our commercial design standards. The proposed EOT meets all the required findings in our municipal code for extensions of time. Based on the findings, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2026-10, taking the following actions to approve the EOT request to May 3rd, 2029, and determine that no additional environmental review is required. The applicant was not able to come to this. As part of our standard procedure, we request that applicants show up to answer any potential questions from Planning Commission. Due to scheduling, some of them are not able to show up. So staff is available for any questions. Oh, awesome. Sorry, I didn't spy you back there. Sorry. So the applicant is available. So great.
Does the applicant have any statement they'd like to make or anything they'd like to share with us?
At Catalyst Commercial Group. I don't have a statement prepared or anything, really. We just need some more time. We've had a rough go here on getting the planning done and on the financing, but I think we're pretty close. So happy to answer any questions if you have them, but we're just plugging away and moving ahead.
Just curious on those two. I think there's two retail spots. Have you had any applicants to come in?
One was cannabis.
Yes, so we did approve a CUP for cannabis within the past couple years for one of the buildings. Yes.
Yeah, those two, the two pads aside from Quick Quack have been sold. One's Ono Hawaiian Barbecue, and the other one is the Cake House. For a second location. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't have any questions for
Additional.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comments.
Discussion from the dais?
I don't have a whole lot on that one. I remember that when the quick cut guy came, it was right before we got bombarded with all the other car washes. Actually, he was one of the first. So he wins.
Director Flores, when we, and this may be a question for later, when we adopted our general plan, City Council had an item before it to place a moratorium on permitting for a certain amount of time because the general plan was not yet approved, but we had a lot of submittals that were close to the deadline. And was this one of those? Do you know? Maybe Abdu?
It was not.
Okay.
No. And I don't believe the city ever did quite do a moratorium per se.
We didn't, yeah.
But, however, obviously, the city did ban car washes, any new car washes, but any existing ones that are already approved are able to go through the process. So, for example, this obviously wouldn't be consistent with the zoning as it is today. However, it is consistent with the zoning as it was approved.
Right.
Right, so.
In addition to that, when we did adopt the ordinance that made those changes and not allow those specific uses, we did have a non-codified section that allowed existing entitlements to be further extended or revised as approved, even though they're not consistent. So,
when the gentleman earlier spoke during public comment about construction height, was that this one or 3.4? 3.4.
3.4, yeah.
Well, then I'll go ahead and take this one. I'll make a motion to adopt PC Resolution number 2026-10.
And I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
All right. That includes general business for this meeting. Thank you for everybody for participating.
we have one more.
We got one more, EOT.
Oh, did I miss 3.4? I'm sorry. We have 3.4. Don't forget 3.4. This is plot plan number 15-0129 presented.
I like
by
doing these. Don't cut me off, man. So this is a presentation for the Nova Homes Residential Project, which is this is EOT number 3. This is tentative tract map 36952 / plot plan 150129. This project is located on the west side of Wildomar Trail, approximately 660 feet north of Clinton Keith Road. It's north of the grocery outlet right there and below Varian Way. If you can see the map, this is a pretty recent map, as you can see, with Wildomar Crossroads under development right there. The project site is about 11.2 acres. The City Council in 2017, so this is a pretty old project, took the following actions on tentative tract map 36952 and plot plan 150129. They adopted the CEQA determination, approved the general plan amendment, approved a change of zone to accommodate this project, and approved a tentative tract map to subdivide the site into one lot for condominium purposes, and approved a plot plan to develop 77 single-family detached dwelling units. Now, these are legally condominium units, but these are single-family units, so they are detached single-family product. The applicant's requesting their final extension of time to allow for more time to record the map and prep for grading and building permits. They are, from what the applicant has told us, they're very close in terms of getting all this done. The applicant's requesting their 1-year extension of time as permitted by the WMC. With commission approval of AOT number 3, the new expiration date would be August 8, 2027. The applicant does not have any additional time extensions available. Now, for this project, it was originally due to expire, so their ultimate expiration date was February of 2026. However, due to COVID, the state passed an Assembly Bill I forget exactly what the number was. It was AB 2729, I believe, which granted an automatic 18-month extension to a lot of projects that expired in a certain period of time, and this was one of them. So, which is why you see, even though the project was approved in February of 2017, the ultimate expiration is August, right, because of that automatic 18-month extension. So they still had their 1-year extension, which allows them until August 8th, 2027. This is the exhibit, the originally approved exhibit for tentative tract map 36952, and the original exhibit for the plot plan. They are going through currently a substantial conformance to slightly modify the layout of the houses. The product is still the same number of lots, same number of units. However, it's just slightly changing the layout, slightly changing the location of the clubhouse, etc. So some minor changes that are going through administratively. But this extension is just the extension to the entitlement. The proposed EOT meets all the required findings, general plan, zoning, nothing has changed in that regard. Based on the findings, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2026-11 and to take the following action: to approve the EOT to August 8, 2027, determine that no additional environmental review is required. Now, I know for sure that the applicant is available, and he is happy to answer any questions or give a statement if you need. He's very excited to build this project, so, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Please, if you'd like to share with us.
Good evening to you all and to commissioner, staff, and public. My name is Ivano, Nova Homes. We went under contract to buy this subdivision from the Cardenas family. The representative is right here of the seller. We went under contract approximately a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. Since then, we've been working very diligently. First and foremost, we had to secure the, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the sewer EDU. There was a challenge, but we got it secured just about 60 days ago. So we're moving forward with all the engineering plans at this time. The staff has been working with us hand in hand, very helpful, and we are anxious to break ground, hopefully, by the end of the year. So we are moving forward. We have all the engineering plans ready to submit as soon as the time permits. We were actually ready to submit last week, but the conforming plan is holding us back a little bit. So we are going full speed. That's all we can do. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. So it sounds like Ivano had mentioned the sewer conditions are in works. Just curious, water, What about the fire, water, and stormwater conditions? What would be the status on those?
So I believe, like Ivano mentioned, they're working through engineering on all plans. What he was mentioning was on the sewer because, as we may know, there is a limited amount of units that can be provided. So they've obtained that and they secured that, but he's ready to submit for the other plans, which include the water for fire and water as well for the utility.
Kind of to elaborate a little more on that, basically, EVMWD has a very limited sewer capacity right now. So they have a very limited number of units that they can approve into their sewer. I believe they're working on upgrading all their infrastructure, but their estimate is around 2029 to 2030 to be able to upgrade all of that. Until then, once that cap is reached, no additional units can be built. So they're still working on it. So Ivano and his team were able to get in before the cap.
Okay, cool. That's great.
If EVMWD is unable to approve EDU for a new development and that project runs out of extensions, what is the remedy available to that developer or us?
So if they run out of extensions, they have to go through the process again, and if there's an issue with capacity, then they need to address that before approval. But if it's an extension of time, then we can provide that extension of time.
So there isn't any grace provided. Let's just say EVMWD tells our friend that, sorry, can't serve you until 2 years from now when we build that new lift station. How does that factor into our ability to?
So in this situation, because it is the last extension of time, we can only grant one more extension of time, and then if that doesn't get them to that point where they can obtain those units that are minimal capacity, then they would have to start all over at that point.
Got it. Thank you.
Given the 2017 approval date, we know it's a long one. How does the staff confirm there are no changed circumstances under the CEQA 15162?
So part of what it is evaluating the original, because this did go through the CEQA process, right? Number one, evaluating the conditions on the ground. Obviously, in terms of this case, there has been no construction plans issued, no grading permits issued, so the condition of the site is still the same as it was when it was approved. There hasn't been any dirt moved on that site per se. So that's kind of what we look at in terms of whether the conditions, for example, on the ground have changed. Now, when it comes to, for example, the technical studies, cultural, biological, all of those things, those are valid, right, with the project as long as the project is approved. Now, yes, 2017 to now may seem like a long time, but a lot of the issues that were evaluated then are still issues that are evaluated today.
And I'll add to that too. There has been projects approved after the fact, but we have to keep in mind that those projects also do, along with this project, they do a cumulative analysis of what other projects are already approved and existing, and they address the impacts with that lens. So even though we have additional entitlements that were approved, some of which are not built, but others that are breaking ground, like Crossroads, Wildomar Crossroads, that together with this project address the change that is occurring. There's no significant, I would say, change to that area based on what was there when this project was approved, based on all that Abdu said and that factor as well.
I'm not speaking on any project, just only on the capacity.
It's to the chair's decision.
Are we done with questions? Are we ready to move on to this?
Yeah, maybe I'll take George's insight on that, his professional opinion there.
I just happened to be at the last council meeting, so I don't represent Elsinore, the municipal. I was there for 33 years, but I do listen to what's going on. Director Shans, he mentioned that there's a capacity issue. And it goes back to any projects that is going on. And they have like 2 years. So this is what the project there is being done right now on Mission Trail. And so what he's saying that, hey, we got 2 more years. If we don't do this, there's not going to be no projects. So any projects on this side of the, of the area of Wildomar, it has to go through Mission Trail to get to the original. They only have the original wastewater plant. They just completed a major upgrade, but if there's no upgrades on the capacity issue, there's no other project. So right now that's okay, but any projects that's been approved for right now, they don't have any problem. But any more projects, if they don't do those upgrades, I think it's going to be by the end of the year, but it's going on right now. So he said, hey, if you don't have to, do not go on Mission Trail. It's where the project is going on right now. So anyway, this is just information.
Yeah, thanks, George.
Thank you, Mr. Camaro.
Any additional public comment?
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Paul Aldrich.
Yeah, thank you. I obviously misunderstood my timing last time, but I'll just again say what I said before. No concern about the extension, some concern about height. I'm not familiar with the plans, the specific plans. We live immediately across the street. I don't believe we own a view easement, so I don't know that I have any, but I'm still concerned about potential. I have no idea what the grading looks like or anything like that. I just want to put on the record I have some concern about the height of the structures that will be built on that property. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did want to answer that question. So, do you live across Varian Way?
No, I'm on the Iodine Springs, just south of Marion. If you should put that map back up.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Keep going. One more. Or wherever it was. It was
The aerial.
The aerial. I'll point to it. There's at least one more back.
Oh, one more?
One back.
Oh, this. Okay.
35760, so it's that one there.
Okay.
So we're looking west, right across the...
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go here and. So yeah, this project is lower than from on that corner. So the project actually is kind of lower than the street there. So you wouldn't really have any issues with
In addition to that, the height of the structures will meet the zone requirements for the height. Typical, even 2-story building is about 35 feet in height. So.
Don Saunders.
Since we've been talking about extensions of time, I thought this would be a good time to get some clarity and better understanding of extensions of time. In other words, what can you deny, or can you say, you know what, we're not going to give any more extensions of time? What criteria do you have in order to do that? Or is every time we got to approve them anyway? So I'd like to get a little more education on that. And even on this project that we're talking about tonight, we're talking about maybe some different elevations. I'm thinking about a project, say a commercial project that was approved, just hypothetically, 10 years ago. Now we have our new general plan. We have new development standards. So somebody's coming in with a pink building, and we want something that's a beige building to, be consistent with the area. What variables does the extension of time have for a project? What changes can be made and cannot be made? It sounds like on these extensions of time, you really can't. Can you do anything? In other words, it sounds like they can just go through. So, some little more clarification on that, I think, would be beneficial to all of us. Thanks.
Thank you, Don. I won't comment on that, but if Anybody would like to comment on that item?
Yeah, and I'll pass it over to my colleague. But I just want to say that an extension of time is a discretionary action, which requires findings. So in order to deny the extension of time, we have to not be able to make one of the findings, like if it's not consistent with the general plan, not consistent with the development code, not consistent, or the application wasn't submitted on time and the fee wasn't paid. The fourth finding is that the surrounding area has changed significantly, and significantly, not just changed because there's change every year, but significantly to where that change may have altered the decision that was made back when it was approved. On that point specifically that was brought up, if now we have a new general plan, we still go back and we make sure, even though it was approved with the past general plan, we make sure that it's consistent with the current general plan. It's not one for one, right? We can find it consistent as long as it's residential, as long as it meets the policies and goals that the general plan puts forward. We can make that. We have to make that consistency in order to approve the project. If we cannot make that finding, then we can recommend denial because the project doesn't make sense. It's no longer residential. Or the land use is no longer residential, it's now commercial. That's what the city wants to see, so this project doesn't make sense. So that's something that we can deny at that point.
Yeah, adding onto that, the specific language of, for example, the finding, right? The setting and local circumstances of the approved permit have not changed in such a way to make the previously approved permit incompatible or inappropriate with the surrounding area. Say, for example, a commercial project gets approved, right? A general plan update comes later on, and basically that whole entire area is rezoned to residential. And, that's approved for like a movie theater or something. It would kind of be incompatible. That's kind of the discretion that you kind of see, but it would have to be a significant change to the surrounding area that would warrant something like that, right? This is just a hypothetical example.
Like Robert mentioned, so Abdu just mentioned the Wildomar's local framing of it. And if you look at different city codes, they kind of shape things different way, higher or lower standards. That this is a pretty reasonable standard in my estimation. There are also sort of legal considerations that we think about when there is a denial, as far as thinking of the spectrum of how much development there might be there. If there's been no progress, it's often easier to deny if there's really no effort to actually even continue the project or move it along. Maybe they've lost financing. On the other end of the spectrum, if there's been a significant investment of money and enough effort to start moving in the right direction, then it makes it more likely that there would be litigation if the city denies, because there could be an argument of a taking. Thank you.
Thank you for that education. Any further discussion?
No. That was actually really helpful.
Do we have any other public comments? Did I skip them?
No other public comments.
Thank you. All right, I think we're looking for a motion here.
Yeah, on that one, I think that fits, actually. I can't believe that condominiums are 3,000 square feet these days, but.
Oh, I apologize. For the record, we did receive one email comment in opposition to this item. I believe it was copied to all of us, yes?
Yes, there was one opposition email.
Yes.
Back to you. I got to talk to you about getting into my email. Locked out. I couldn't get it.
We'll make a motion to pass. Shoot, I lost it. PC resolution number 2026-11.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Now, I believe we are on to Planning Commission communications.
I don't have anything to add. I'm super happy that we didn't let the administrative thing go through.
Good.
Yeah. I actually wanted to thank staff for holding that town hall meeting last week. I met Jason. I saw Jason there. I didn't see Abdu, unfortunately. But I saw Robert and we actually got to meet Ryan Miller, formal introduction at the town hall meeting. It was a great meeting, got the community together, and we had an opportunity to discuss some of the points that we've been recently discussing. So I just wanted to thank the staff that was there for being very informative and providing us some good feedback. That being said, though, there was one thing that a resident had brought up in that town hall meeting, and it was regarding the EOT. Just so happens regarding the EOTs, right? And Walmart happened to be obviously one of the factors of the question, and the question was along the lines of the length of time of EOTs, right? And so, for the spirit of just helping the public understand what are the pros and cons of what would it look like if we were to reduce the amount of time on the EOT versus, and I think they had proposed, some of the residents had proposed like a 5-year versus a 10-year, 15-year, all different years, right? So I guess from my end, what would that look like? And pros, and it doesn't, we don't have to respond to it today, but I would like to propose what would be the pros and cons. And what would it look like for us to have some reduction on that? That's just from my end.
Sure. For the sake of respecting the agenda and that it's not an item that's agendized, I would like to bring that back potentially as a workshop or an item for discussion, and that will allow staff to prepare as well to provide enough information. But we did hear that during the community meeting, and happy to be there, and thanks everybody for joining. But yeah, that's something that we could put as a future agenda item, and I can bring it back so we can have, because I think that's a bigger discussion, and something that deserves more information and a setting for that. So we can certainly, like we said at the meeting, can bring that back or think about how to explore options to engage the community and see where we go with that
That'd be great.
request.
That'd be great. Thanks, Robert. That's all I have.
Mission Trail, that construction, that's amazing stuff. I'm very curious about that, and I have trouble staying straight when I'm driving into work because they have trenching and machinery and cranes. Very cool. The traffic's going to be bad. Go check it out because it's public works at its finest. School is out this week. There's going to be lots of kids on e-bikes and other things on the street, so watch out for them, for our folks at home. That is all I have for Commission communications. Do we have a Community Development Director's report?
Yes, sir. I only have one item. Happy to introduce a new member to our team, our new Economic Development Manager, Mr. Ryan Miller. I want to give him the opportunity to introduce himself, but he does come to us with extensive economic development experience, and we're happy to have him. So, Ryan, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the warm welcome, sir. I appreciate that, too. Happy to be here. Looking forward to digging into my duties here in economic development and bringing a mindset that will help us accomplish things that are outlined in the policies and rules that are written in Section 4 of the general plan. If you ever want to know what economic development does, check that out.
And I will add that Ryan and I sit right next to each other, which makes sense because him and I are going to be working closely together with community development and economic development, working hand in hand, just like we work with engineering. So I'll be working with him to further those initiatives. So welcome, Ryan.
Welcome, Ryan. Thank you. How loud will I need to yell for him to hear you over the phone?
He can hear pretty well, pretty clearly.
Glad to have you. Thank you. City Attorney's report.
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I think we had discussion about an EOT. Is that a future agenda item?
I think move that from the communications to the potential future agenda item.
Future agenda item. Thank you. I don't have any others. Do you have a?
I do not.
With that, let us adjourn this meeting at 7:58.